I never believed a place could change your life until I moved into her house. Not with her, not at first. It's just a room at the top of an old, creaky Victorian in a quiet harbor town where the fog seemed to know your secrets better than you did. I wasn't looking for anything more than a roof and silence. After Jess left me, I felt like someone had punched a hole through my chest and walked away with the part that still beat. I was running on fumes and coffee, showing up late to freelance. Gigs I barely cared about, crashing on friends' couches. And trying not to admit I missed her, even though I did desperately. Then I found the listing. Room for rent, quiet tenants only. No drama. It felt like a dare. Or maybe a lifeline. Either way, I emailed, showed up, and that's when I met her. Marla, 40 maybe. Or 39 and bitter about the number. She opened the door barefoot, wearing faded jeans and a linen button-up with the sleeves rolled. Her hair was pinned up but still wild, like it didn't obey her rules. She looked at me like she was sizing me up for trouble, and I could almost hear her thinking, too young, too messy. But she let me in. Her house smelled like lemon cleaner and garden soil. There was jazz playing softly from an old record player in the living room and a black cat lounging on a sunny patch of floor like it paid the mortgage. She led me upstairs to the room clean, with wide windows that overlooked the bay. I told her I liked it. She gave a small nod, then turned to me and said, "Rule number 1, no overnight guests. I don't care who they are. This is a home, not a hotel." I wanted to say, "What about you?" But I bit my tongue. She seemed like the kind of woman who didn't tolerate charm. I moved in that night, paid cash, unpacked in silence, kept my headphones in when I passed her in the hallway. But I noticed things. How she hummed while watering her plants. How she curled her legs under her like a girl when she read on the porch. How her mouth twitched like it wanted to smile but forgot how. She was beautiful in a way that made your chest ache like watching old photographs curl in the heat. And I was craving something I hadn't felt in months. Want? We barely talked for the first week. Until the storm. It hit just after dark, sudden and angry, rattling the windows and killing the power. I was in the kitchen lighting candles when she came down in that sweater. God, that sweater. Soft looking. Like it would. Feel too good between your fingers. Her legs were bare except for shorts. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her hair was loose now, tangled from sleep or worry. She looked younger and more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. She flinched when thunder cracked and laughed nervously. "Hate storms," she said. "You want some wine?" We sat by the window, our knees nearly touching. The candles flickered against her cheekbones as the rain thrashed the glass. Bottle of wine turned into 2. We talked. Or maybe I talked too much. Told her about Jess, about how she left me for her coworker and didn't even try to lie about it. I must have looked pathetic, but Marla just listened to really listened. Then she opened up, told me about her ex-husband, how he left her for a yoga instructor in Toronto. Too much woman for him, she said with a half smile. Or maybe just not enough. She didn't look at me when she said it, but I looked at her. At her bare collarbone, the soft skin there, the way she kept swirling her wine glass but never drinking from it. There was a moment, you know, those moments heavy, electric, fragile. I looked at her. She looked at me. And suddenly, the air between us wasn't air anymore, was heat, humming and alive. She reached over and touched my face, brushed the hair from my eyes, like she had every right. Her fingers lingered, trailing down to my jaw. I didn't move. I couldn't. Then she leaned in slowly to slow end, kissed me like she already knew how I'd taste. Like she'd been wondering, too. It wasn't desperate. Not at first. Just slow and soft. But once it started, neither of us wanted to stop. She pulled me toward her, our mouths opening wider, hungrier. Her hands slid under my shirt, finding skin, making me shiver. I don't remember moving to the couch, but we were there twisted together, wine-sweet breath and warm hands, her voice. in my ear saying my name like a secret she'd never tell again. When she pulled me on top of her, when she arched her back and whispered, "Don't be gentle," I forgot everything else. Forgot Jess. I forgot the rules. I forgot that I was her tenant, and she was supposed to be off limits that night. We broke more than the silence. We broke rule number 1. Asterisk, the next morning, I expected her to regret everything. Maybe even pretend it never happened. I kept rehearsing what I'd say when she kicked me out, how I'd nod and say, "I understand," while dying a little inside. But when I walked downstairs, still groggy, she was already in the kitchen. Barefoot and calm, pouring coffee like it was just another Wednesday. She slid a mug across the counter toward me without looking up and said, "Rule number 2, no feelings. This is just company." It's company. The words clanged inside me like a dropped pan. I laughed it off, but my chest was tight. I took the mug and mumbled, "Got it," but I didn't get it. Not really. Not after the way she touched me the night before. Not after the way she'd whispered my name like a prayer. It didn't feel like just sex. Not to me. I'd seen the softness in her eyes when she thought I wasn't looking. I'd heard her breath catch when I kissed her neck. But maybe she was better at separating the body from the heart than I was. Maybe I was just the latest warm body, too. Fill a temporary void. Still, I stayed. And we fell into this strange rhythm, nights tangled in her sheets, mornings with coffee and careful silences. We avoided eye contact during the day. We didn't go near each other unless the sun was down. She kept the door to her bedroom open, like an unspoken invitation. But once the sky turned pink with morning, she was gone. It was like I only existed in the dark. And for a while, I convinced myself that was enough. That it was better than being alone. But feelings don't care about rules. They don't knock before coming in. And mine were growing fast and reckless. It was the little things. The way she laughed when she drank red wine, tipping her head back, eyes closed. The way she curled up in oversized sweaters, reading old paperback novels that smelled like rain. The way she sometimes talked in her sleep, muttering fragments of dreams and heartbreak. I started leaving notes, stupid things like, "Don't forget your umbrella," or "You hum when you cook." It's cute. She never mentioned them, but I'd catch her smiling sometimes when she thought I wasn't watching. She started texting me in the middle of the day photos of her garden. A line from a song she liked, a meme she thought was dumb but funny. She even brought me a sandwich while I was working late in my room one night. "You forget to eat when you get in the zone," she said, brushing my shoulder lightly. It wasn't love, not officially, but it was something. And it felt real. Then came the night that cracked everything open. I'd been out late with friends, celebrating a new client I landed. It wasn't even a wild night, just drinks and cheap fries at a waterfront bar. When I got home, I saw the truck in the driveway, a silver Dodge Ram with Ontario plates. I didn't recognize it, but something in my gut clenched. The porch light was on, and through the front window I saw her silhouette, Marla, standing in the hallway, arms wrapped around a man. He was tall, with a scruffy beard and broad shoulders. He held her like he used to, like he had the right. And the worst part? She didn't pull away. I froze. I didn't go inside. I just stood there like an idiot in the dark, watching her with him. My fingers tightened around the strap of my bag until they went numb. Eventually, I turned around and drove. Just drove nowhere for an hour, trying not to scream. When I got back, the truck was gone. The house was quiet. I went up to my room and lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, heart cracking in slow, silent pieces. The next day, she acted like nothing had happened. I confronted her, tried to stay calm, asked who he was. She just shrugged and said, "My ex-husband. He was in town. We caught up. That was it. No details, no apology, no acknowledgement that it might have mattered to me." I wanted to believe her. I tried to believe her. But I could still smell his cologne in the hallway. I could still feel the distance between us, how it had grown overnight. After that, things changed. She stopped texting, stopped touching. The air between us was colder now, heavy with things unsaid. I tried to act like it didn't bother me, but it did. It's more than I wanted to admit. I'd grown addicted to the way she made me feel seen, to the closeness we'd built in those late night hours. And now it felt like I was being pushed out of a life I was only starting to belong in. One night, I finally asked, did I do something wrong? Her face was unreadable. She sighed, looked away, and said, "You caught feelings. That wasn't the deal." I couldn't believe how easily she said it. Like it didn't cost her anything. It's like I was just another tenant who overstayed. His welcome. "So that's it?" I asked. "I was a rule breaker, and now I'm a problem." She nodded slowly. "It's safer this way." "You weren't supposed to matter, but I did matter. At least I thought I did. That night, I didn't sleep in her bed. I didn't even knock on her door. I lay awake in my room, counting the cracks in the ceiling and wishing I'd never walked through hers. I tried to pretend I was fine, that I hadn't just watched the woman I was falling for get cozy with the man who used to have all of her ex-husband. The one she claimed had broken her heart and left her hollow. But pretending doesn't stop the ache. It just hides it behind forced smiles and unanswered texts. After that night, it was like she flipped a switch. The softness between us vanished, replaced by this cold professional distance. No more late-night wine. No more touches in passing. No more shared space at the kitchen counter. It felt like I was living in a museum of what we used to be. Every creak of the floorboards a reminder of how fast it all turned to ash. And the worst part? She didn't even seem sad about it. She was just gone, present in body, absent in every other way. She started locking her bedroom door again, started humming less. I'd hear her on the phone late at night, her voice low, a laugh. That wasn't meant for me anymore. That laugh used to be mine. I told myself I was overreacting. That maybe they had just talked. That maybe the wine and the hug didn't mean anything. But I knew better. I knew what her laugh sounded like when she was trying not to fall. I knew what it sounded like when she already had. Still, I tried to hold on to what little I had left. I tried to get her back without begging. I started cooking dinner and leaving a plate for her. I texted her small things, memories, jokes, songs I knew she loved. Most of them went unanswered. When she did reply, her messages were short, clipped, polite in that distant way you use with someone you used to love but no longer want to see cry. Then came the final blow. I came home one evening after a long client meeting, tired, drained, but secretly hoping she might still be awake and willing to talk, and found my stuff packed in boxes by the front door. My laptop, my sketch pads, my clothes, all folded neatly, taped shut. Sitting on top was a single white envelope with my name, scrawled across the front in her handwriting. Inside was a note, short, surgical, devastating. "It's better this way. You are starting to matter, and I can't afford to let you. Please go quietly. That was it. No, I'm sorry. No, take care. Just a dismissal disguised as mercy." I stood there for a long time, staring at the words, trying to absorb them. I wanted to scream, to throw something. But all I did was sit down on the step with my box in my lap and feel the kind of sadness that has no sound. After a while, I knocked on her door just once. It was late. I knew she was home. Her light was on. I could hear faint music playing, but she didn't answer. I knocked again, harder this time. "Marla," I said, my voice cracking. "Come on, just talk to me." Still nothing. "You don't get to shut me out like this. I'm not him." "Ha, not gonna hurt you." Silence. I backed up, raised my fist, and pounded once, loud. The music stopped. Shadow crossed behind the curtains. Then nothing. I sat outside in my car all night, parked just down the street, watching her house, hoping she might come out. Hoping I'd see her silhouette in the window and know she still cared. That there was still something left worth fighting for. but all I saw was dawn breaking and the light in her room flicking off. Like she'd waited for the sky to chase me away. That next week was a blur. I found a basement apartment with paper-thin walls and a mildew problem. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. My days bled together. Coffee, work, numbness. I stopped replying to friends, deleted all our old texts. I told myself it was time to move on, that she didn't want me, that it had never been real. But grief doesn't care about logic. It lingers. It chews on you when you think you're okay. And every time I passed a woman in a linen shirt, every time I heard jazz in a cafe, I felt her all over again. Then, like some twisted joke, I saw her at the market. I was reaching for a bag of apples when I looked up, and there she was, fresh-faced, laughing at something the vendor said, holding a bunch of daisies in one hand and a small basket in the other. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and looked right through me. My chest caved in. I left the apples behind and walked out like I was on fire. After that, I broke. Not publicly. Not in some big dramatic way. I just stopped pretending. Stopped. Acting like I hadn't fallen in love with someone who didn't have room for me in her life. My friends noticed, of course. They said I looked tired. Asked if I was still hung up on that older woman. I laughed it off. But the truth was, I was more than hung up. I was haunted. And I hated that. I hated that she still had this power over me when I had none over her. She had made the rules. She had broken them. And now she was gone. And I was. Just another ghost walking through the ruins she left behind. ChatGPT said, for weeks. I wrestled with the silence she left behind. It wasn't just an empty room or a closed door. It was the absence of everything I thought we could have been. I kept telling myself that I was better off, that her shutting me out was proof she never really wanted me in the first place. Then came the call. A number I didn't recognize flashed on my phone late one night. I almost didn't answer. Something told me I should. It was Marla. Her voice was shaky, not the confident, controlled woman I'd known, but someone raw and fragile. She said she needed to talk, to explain. My heart hammered so loud I thought she could hear it through the phone. I agreed to meet. We met at a quiet coffee shop, the kind with dim lighting and heavy curtains that felt like a safe place away from the world. She looked tired, more tired than I had ever seen her, but there was something else in her eyes. Guilt. She started by apologizing, not for the storm or the nights we shared, but for how she'd pushed me away. I was scared, she said, voice trembling. I'd been burned before, and I thought keeping you at arm's length would protect us both. But I was wrong. I didn't want to lose myself, so I lost you instead. I listened, the walls I'd built crumbling piece by piece. Then she told me the truth about the man in the truck that night. He hadn't just been in town. He was trying to pull her back into a world she fought hard to leave behind. A world full of broken promises and empty apologies. She thought if she kept me distant, I wouldn't get caught in the crossfire. But the reality was, she was tangled up in her own past in ways she hadn't fully faced. It was the first time she let me in beyond the surface. For hours, we talked about the meannesses of love and fear. About wanting to be brave, but feeling trapped by scars that wouldn't heal. I saw a side of Marla that was broken, but hopeful. Fierce, but afraid. And somewhere between the coffee and the confession, I realized I still loved her, not the perfect version I imagined, but the flawed, scared woman who was trying to find her way. But just as we were reaching for something real, something fragile but alive, the ground shifted beneath us again. That same night after she left, I got a text from an unknown number, a picture. It was a photo of her smiling with that man, the ex holding her hand, looking happy in a way I hadn't seen in months. The message was clear. She wasn't free. She never really had been. I stared at the screen, heart shattering all over again. Betrayal wasn't just in his presence. It was in her silence, in the secrets she kept even when she said she wanted to be honest. I felt used, like a placeholder in a story that had never been mine to write. I confronted her again, my voice raw with pain and confusion. She didn't deny it. She said she never wanted to hurt me, that her life was a mess she couldn't control, that she cared, but not enough to walk away from what she'd known for years. I wanted to scream, to beg her to choose me, to fight for what we had. But the truth was, she was already gone. And this time, I wasn't chasing shadows, I was walking away. Leaving her house for the last time was like ripping a part of myself out. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see her watching me go. I packed up my things, paid the last rent, and stepped into a future that felt uncertain but necessary. The pain was raw, but beneath it was a strange kind of relief. I was free. Free from the rules that never made sense. Free from a love that was more prison than promise. Over time, the ache softened. I found new places to live, new people to care about, and slowly I learned to breathe again without her in the background. But every now and then, when the wind shifts just right or I catch a scent of lemon cleaner mixed with rain, I remember her. The woman who was my landlady, my lover, and my lesson. The one whose rules got more personal every day and whose silence taught me that sometimes love isn't enough.